Hey Hoopheads, Brad here with another breakdown, and today I want to talk about the Milwaukee Bucks defense against the Raptors in their 108-97 win. The Milwaukee Bucks have the best defensive rating in the league with 101.7, and the difference between them and the second place team is the same as the difference between the third and the 13th place team. They're just head and shoulders above the rest of the league. And a big part of that is their ability to protect the paint. They allow 52% shooting within 5 feet, and the next closest team allows 57%. They're just so much better at protecting the rim than everybody. Let's get into it. A major key to the Bucks defense is keeping the Lopez brothers in the paint, so they are going to drop way off their man anytime they can. At times, it's almost as if the Lopez brothers are playing a zone while everybody else plays man-to-man. And it's not as if Serge Ibaka is a bad three-point shooter. Even after this poor performance, he's still shooting 39% on the season, but he's not a volume three-point shooter, and the Bucks will dare the big men on the other team to shoot a three and make them hit a few before they really start to change their coverage because they value protecting the rim so much. Even here, when Brook does come out to Serge, check out how he closes out short to him, make sure he doesn't let his momentum get away from him so that he's ready to move backwards as Serge drives, gets a hand up, contests that hook shot, and he has tremendous length that can bother pretty much anybody in the league. Here, as Fred attacks quickly in transition, Lopez is going to drop way down off Serge to help out at the rim. He's going to give up an open three-pointer on the opposite elbow, and that's something that the Bucks just live with. Lopez will try to get a hand up on those three-pointers, but if they get him up, so be it. Here, as Van Vliet comes off the screen, you see Lopez dropped way down into the key to prevent that drive. The ball goes out to Serge, Lopez closing out under control, daring him to shoot. And now the Raptors have Lowry set a screen for Siakam on the opposite side. Lopez drops into the paint, and Giannis scoots under the screen to cut off Siakam. The ball goes back out to the top and finds Serge for the three, and Lopez is just trying to get a hand up on that, not overdoing it on his closeout. And that's what life against the Bucks looks like for pretty much every team. And here, as Boucher gets the ball, you see a nice little bit of ball denial here from George Hill, almost able to deflect the pass with active hands. And then as Boucher sets the screen, you see Lopez is dropped down nice and low. Lopez just tries to stay in front of Fred while Hill creeps back into the play from the backside and is able to poke the ball away. That's going to be a turnover. And if they can, the Bucks always try to go over a screen against a shooter. It's one of the fundamental principles of their defense. It's something that Eric Bledsoe and Dante DiVincenzo are really good at. And when you go over the screen like this, you're going to give up some pull-up threes, but the Bucks don't mind because they're pretty good at contesting these threes from the rear without fouling, which is a pretty tough skill. They just kind of invade your space and make you uncomfortable on your shot without ever really making contact. It's really great defense, and they get some pretty high-quality shot contests out of it. Even here, setting the screen 6 or 7 feet above the three-point line, they still go over the screen, they still have the big and drop coverage. And Bledsoe does a nice job of getting back into the play, deflecting the ball and forcing the turnover. And another shot that starts to become available when you go over the screen and have drop coverage is the mid-ranger, and that's something that the Raptors need to drill if they want to beat a team like the Bucks, and that's a potential weak point to attack against them. And if you're a Raptors fan, you might be saying, why don't you just attack the rim, go at these bigs that aren't that mobile, and get some easy baskets in the paint instead of getting all these threes and mid-rangers? Well, that's easier said than done because the Lopez twins have unbelievable length. They're great at contesting shots around the rim. You might have even heard some talk about Brook Lopez potentially being Defensive Player of the Year, and he's in the conversation because of his elite rim protecting ability. And when you have an elite rim protector on the back line of your defense like Brook Lopez, that allows you to be a little bit more aggressive on the perimeter. Here, as Lowry gets the ball, you can see Bledsoe closing right out to his body instead of taking a more conservative angle and worrying about the drive, because he knows that if he can run Lowry off the three-point line, he has Lopez behind him. Lopez gets the monster block, and that's one of the difficulties of playing against the Bucks, especially if you're a guard who plays below the rim. Here, Fred VanVleet's going to come off a couple screens and shed Wes Matthews, and check out how Lopez reads that Matthews is a step behind, so he gets out to Fred, but he's nice and low, and he immediately starts to retreat back to protect the rim. That deters Fred, who ends up shooting a tough mid-ranger, and the intimidation factor of having the Lopez brothers on the court is huge. Here you see Marvin Williams finds himself on Lowry after transition. Obviously a huge mismatch, and Lowry can get right by him, but there's Brook Lopez clogging up the paint. That deters the shot, and then he's also able to use those long arms to get in the passing lane and poke the ball away too. Great defense from him. And here as Serge sets a screen off ball, you see Matthews going over it, you see Lopez in drop coverage. Fred goes toward Lopez to force the switch, and now he gets the ball to Serge with Matthews on him. But as Fred clears out, check out Brook Lopez, he's going to stay in the paint. There's that intimidation factor. Now Serge is looking for somewhere else to go. He's dribbled the ball 5 times, not necessarily his forte. That's going to be a turnover. And there are times when the Bucks play without one of the Lopez's on the floor, and that tends to open up the rim a fair bit. That's when Serge had this play where Giannis has the nice initial defense, but Serge is able to recover the ball and get fouled. And if that's Brook Lopez coming over with the help instead of Donte DiVincenzo, that play maybe turns out differently. Again, here you see no Lopez in the lane. OG's able to just power through DiVincenzo and get the layup. And here Giannis bites on a pass fake. No Lopez on the back line. That leads to the OG monster dunk. And you can really see how much of a difference the Lopez twins make. Now I want to talk about a couple ways to attack this drop coverage. One is to put the ball in the hands of a big who can dribble. Lopez is backed way off Rondae. He just attacks, drops it off to Lowry, who swings it to the corner to Siakam. Another thing to try is keeping Brook Lopez out of the screening action by having Siakam set the screen. You know he's going to still come over with the help around the basket, so you can get that corner 3, but you got to knock it down, and Serge didn't do that this game. Tough game for him. And another thing I'd like to see a little bit more of is Siakam as the primary ball handler. Here you see they're keeping Lopez out of the screening action by having Serge on the weak side. Giannis goes under the screen and has to worry about the drive because the area over here is a little bit open, and Siakam just pops the 3. He was 5 for 9 from deep in this game, and I think that's going to be key. He's going to have to put up probably 10 threes a game easy against the Bucks in a series. Here again you see Siakam as the primary ball handler out on the wing against Giannis, attacking him one-on-one. Lopez is there with the help. That means his man is open. That was one of the more wide open threes that Serge got this game. Doesn't go in, but that's a good shot. And here again, Siakam bringing the ball up one-on-one against Giannis. No screening action. See Robin Lopez in the corner on Serge, and as Siakam moves toward the basket, Lopez comes over with the help. That opens up the pass to Serge. Now the Bucks are in rotation. OG gets the ball. Lopez is closing out to him, takes him right off the dribble. That means Giannis has to help, so Siakam darts out to the far corner. He's going to drain the 3 from there. And you can see how getting the Bucks into rotation starts to open up the defense. And here's Siakam, primary ball handler again, but this time Lopez is on the strong side instead of the weak side, and you see the difference that makes. Serge comes up to set the screen, but now it's Lopez just in that drop coverage again. That's going to be a turnover. Another way to attack a defense like the Bucks is to try to avoid it and just go as quickly as you can in the possession. Try to get a little bit of movement off ball and then put up a 3 or attack the rim before the Bucks defense can get fully set. That's why I think getting out in transition is going to be really key to whoever matches up against the Bucks in the playoffs. And now I want to talk about a couple nice defensive possessions that the Bucks had. Here, Fred attacking a little bit early, trying to get something easy, but the length of the Bucks around the rim sort of wards him off. He has to take it back out to the top to Lowry. And meanwhile, under the basket, Bledsoe and Lopez are going to switch off ball so that Lopez can be closer to the rim. The ball eventually finds Fred at the top, and he wants to go to that Serge on Bledsoe mismatch, but check out George Hill shading over off of OG. Fred throws a little bit of a risky pass, and Hill is able to deflect it out of bounds. And then on the ensuing inbound, 4 seconds on the shot clock, it's pretty much a post up for OG, but as he gets the ball, check out the Bucks just completely swarm him, the length of Lopez bothering him, and he just can't even get a shot up here. Nice work by the Bucks. And the Raptors like to run a hammer play at the start of quarters or at a timeout sometimes, where the ball handler drives down to the baseline and then throws the cross-court pass to the corner. But the Bucks are obviously familiar with this, as Marvin Williams is able to cut off that pass. Great awareness. And here Pascal and Serge will run a little 2-man game, and you can see Lopez is in help position. The pass goes to Serge. Lopez with the nice closeout, able to stay under control, stay in front of Serge. Then Giannis, nice work to get under the screen and still get out to shut down the 3-point attempt. And now the Raptors try a couple passes in tight quarters, and sometimes Serge doesn't have the best hands to handle those passes. That's going to be out of bounds. And finally, as Lowry comes off the screen, you see Marvin Williams in drop coverage. Lowry attacks, and you can see Lopez is completely ignoring Rondae Hollis-Jefferson. He's obviously not a threat out there on the perimeter. Siakam with the ball in the post now, operating in tight quarters. He tries to throw the pass out to the top, but George Hill with the nice hands. And then as Siakam turns to attack the basket, we see the length of Lopez coming into play again with the great block. The Bucks win this one by double digits, a potential Eastern Conference Finals preview, and the Raptors will need to be a little bit better if they want to beat these Bucks in a 7-game series, and they'll be counting on Gasol and Norman Powell to help them out with that. Thanks for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, hit that subscribe button and let me know what you thought of the Bucks defense in the comments.